The Digital Millennium Copyright Act is a United States copyright law that implements two 1996 treaties of the World Intellectual Property Organization. It criminalizes production and dissemination of technology, devices, or services intended to circumvent measures that control access to copyrighted works. It also criminalizes the act of circumventing an access control, whether or not there is actual infringement of copyright itself. In addition, the DMCA heightens the penalties for copyright infringement on the Internet. Passed on October 12, 1998, by a unanimous vote in the United States Senate and signed into law by President Bill Clinton on October 28, 1998. The DMCA amended Title 17 of the United States Code to extend the reach of copyright, while limiting the liability of the providers of online services for copyright infringement by their users. The DMCA's principal innovation in the field of copyright is the exemption from direct and indirect liability of Internet service providers and other intermediaries. This exemption was adopted by the European Union in the Electronic Commerce Directive 2000. The Copyright Directive 2001 implemented the 1996 WIPO Copyright Treaty in the EU. Provisions. Title I. WIPO Copyright and Performances and Phonograms Treaties Implementation Act DMCA Title I. The WIPO Copyright and Performances and Phonograms Treaties Implementation Act amends U.S. copyright law to comply with the WIPO Copyright Treaty and the WIPO Performances and Phonograms Treaty, adopted at the WIPO Diplomatic Conference in December 1996. The treaties have two major portions. One portion includes works covered by several treaties in U.S. copy prevention laws and gave the title its name. For further analysis of this portion of the Act and of cases under it, see WIPO Copyright and Performances and Phonograms Treaties Implementation Act. The second portion is often known as the DMCA anti-circumvention provisions. These provisions changed the remedies for the circumvention of copy prevention systems and required that all analog video recorders have support for a specific form of copy prevention created by Macrovision built in, giving Macrovision an effective monopoly on the analog video recording copy prevention market. The section contains a number of specific limitations and exemptions for such things as government research and reverse engineering in specified situations. Although Section 1201 of the title stated that the section does not change the underlying substantive copyright infringement rights, remedies, or defenses, it did not make those defenses available in circumvention actions. The section does not include a fair use exemption from criminality nor assign a requirement, so criminal liability could attach even unintended circumvention for legitimate purposes. Title II. Online Copyright Infringement Liability Limitation Act DMCA Title II. The Online Copyright Infringement Liability Limitation Act creates a safe harbor for online service providers against copyright infringement liability, provided they meet specific requirements. OSPs must adhere to and qualify for certain prescribed safe harbor guidelines and promptly block access to alleged infringing material when they receive notification of an infringement claim from a copyright holder or the copyright holder's agent. OCILLA also includes a counter-notification provision that offers OSPs a safe harbor from liability to their users when users claim that the material in question is not, in fact, infringing. OCILLA also facilitates issuing of subpoenas against OSPs to provide their users' identity. Title III. Computer Maintenance Competition Assurance Act DMCA Title III modified Section 117 of the copyright title so that those repairing computers could make certain temporary, limited copies while working on a computer. It reversed the precedent set in My Systems Corp. v. Peak Computer, Inc., 991 F2D 511. Title IV. Miscellaneous Provisions. DMCA Title IV contains an assortment of provisions clarified and added to the duties of the Copyright Office. Added ephemeral copy for broadcasters provisions, including certain statutory licenses. Added provisions to facilitate distance education. Added provisions to assist libraries with keeping phonorecords of sound recordings. Added provisions relating to collective bargaining and the transfer of movie rights. Title V. Vessel Hull Design Protection Act. DMCA Title V added sections 1301 through 1332 to add a sui generis protection for boat hull designs. Boat hull designs were not considered covered under copyright law because they are useful articles whose form cannot be cleanly separated from their function. Anti-circumvention exemptions. In addition to the safe harbors and exemptions the statute explicitly provides, 17 U.S.C. 1201 requires that the Librarian of Congress issue exemptions from the prohibition against circumvention of access control technology. Exemptions are granted when it is shown that access control technology has had a substantial adverse effect on the ability of people to make non-infringing uses of copyrighted works. The exemption rules are revised every 3 years. Exemption proposals are submitted by the public to the Registrar of Copyrights, and after a process of hearings and public comments, the final rule is recommended by the Registrar and issued by the librarian. Exemptions expire after 3 years and must be resubmitted for the next rule-making cycle. Consequently, the exemptions issued in the prior rule-makings, in 2000, 2003 and 2006, and 2010 are no longer valid. Previous exemptions. The Copyright Office approved 2 exemptions in 2000, 4 in 2003, 6 in 2006 and 2010. 2000, 2003, 2006 rule-makings. In 2000, the first rule-making, the Office exempted compilations consisting of lists of websites blocked by filtering software applications, and literary works, including computer programs and databases, protected by access control mechanisms that fail to permit access because of malfunction, damage, or obsoleteness. In 2003, the 2000 literary works including computer programs exemption was limited to computer programs protected by dongles that prevent access due to malfunction or damage and which are obsolete, and this exemption was renewed in both 2006 and 2010. The 2003 exemption for text readers of e-books was renewed in both 2006 and 2010. The 2003 exemption for obsolete software and video game formats was renewed in 2006 and in 2010. The 2000 filtering exemption was revised and renewed in 2003, but was not renewed in 2006. An exemption covering the audiovisual works included in the educational library of a college or university's film or media studies department was not renewed in 2010. This exemption was replaced with an exemption on DVDs protected by the content scrambling system when circumvention is for the purpose of criticism or comment using short sections for educational, documentary or non-profit use. The 2006 exemption for wireless handsets connecting to wireless networks was revised in 2010 to specify used handsets and require authorization from the wireless network operator. Another exemption for wireless handsets was introduced in 2010 specific to interoperability software on the phone itself. 2010 rule-makings. The 2010 exemptions, issued in July 2010, are motion pictures on DVDs that are lawfully made and acquired and that are protected by the content scrambling system when circumvention is accomplished solely in order to accomplish the incorporation of short portions of motion pictures into new works for the purpose of criticism or comment. and where the person engaging in circumvention believes and has reasonable grounds for believing that circumvention is necessary to fulfill the purpose of the use in the following instances. Educational uses by college and university professors and by college and university film and media studies students, documentary filmmaking, obsolete, software and video game formats, non-commercial videos, computer programs that enable wireless telephone handsets to execute software applications, where circumvention is accomplished for the sole purpose of enabling interoperability of such applications, when they have been lawfully obtained, with computer programs on the telephone handset. Computer programs, in the form of firmware or software, that enable used wireless telephone handsets to connect to a wireless telecommunications network, when circumvention is initiated by the owner of the copy of the computer program solely in order to connect to a wireless telecommunications network, and access to the network is authorized by the operator of the network. Video games accessible on personal computers and protected by technological protection measures that control access to lawfully obtained works, when circumvention is accomplished solely for the purpose of good faith testing for, investigating, or correcting security flaws or vulnerabilities. If the information derived from the security testing is used primarily to promote the security of the owner or operator of a computer system, or computer network, and the information derived from the security testing is used or maintained in a manner that does not facilitate copyright infringement or a violation of applicable law. Computer programs protected by dongles that prevent access due to malfunction or damage and which are obsolete. A dongle shall be considered obsolete if it is no longer manufactured or if a replacement or repair is no longer reasonably available in the commercial marketplace. Literary works distributed in ebook format when all existing ebook editions of the work contain access controls that prevent the enabling either of the book's read aloud function or of screen readers that render the text into a specialized format, linking to infringing content. The law is currently unsettled with regard to websites that contain links to infringing material. However, there have been a few lower court decisions which have ruled against linking in some narrowly prescribed circumstances. One is when the owner of a website has already been issued an injunction against posting infringing material on their website and then links to the same material in an attempt to circumvent the injunction. Another area involves linking to software or devices which are designed to circumvent devices, or links from websites whose sole purpose is to circumvent copyright protection by linking to copyrighted material.